Because recently some news has come out about Obi Toppin being traded, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it real quick. And this news comes from, was it Mike Soto? And it says that the Knicks and Jazz have had exploratory conversations surrounding Obi Toppin, Evan Fournier, and a draft pick compensation for Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt. League sources told Who's Hype, but that's from Mike Soto, who's pretty reliable when it comes to a lot of these trade rumor stuff. So I believe it, but it's exploratory, so we don't know how far that is going to go. So, gentlemen, I just want to get your thoughts on that. What do you think on that? I have my thoughts. But yeah, I'll let y'all guys start it off. Whoever wants to go first can kind of
go ahead, Ryan.
Do what you do.
I heard about the trade, and those are two players I've been looking at, and to be honest, like the way the trade was set out, like Obi, Fournier, and a draft compensation for Beasley and Vanderbilt, I probably would take that deal, to be honest about it, because number one, Vanderbilt would be a wing defender that we desperately need. And he would strengthen the bench as well. And Malik Beasley, I know people complain about his defense, but the thing is, if there's one thing about Thibs, and even when Fournier was here, at certain times, if you put the right defenders around Fournier, you can pretty much hide Fournier on the defense. Because I've seen stretches where Thibs had Fournier on the court and just surrounded him with the right defenders, and the Knicks were able to hold up the end of the defensive end, even with Fournier on the court. So this leads me to believe that even if the Knicks get Beasley and Beasley's not that great of a defender, I feel like if the right defenders are around Beasley, you can pretty much hide him on the court as well and defense still be effective. And at the same time, you get Beasley's three-point shooting, which is desperately needed on this team as well. And so the way I look at it, I'm like, you're trading Obi where, let's face it, as much as we may like Obi's not getting the legit minutes that he needs in New York. Like, Thibs doesn't really factor him into the equation. So you pretty much have to probably move on from him. And then Fournier as well, that's a contract where if the Jazz is willing to take it or any team's willing to take it, you have them take that deal and give them draft compensation. It is what it is. Fournier is not really a part of the future of this team. And you bring in two guys that Vanderbilt, I think the contract he's on right now is a cheap contract. It's like $4 million. It's all like $4.5 million a year, and he's going to be on the team next season as well. So he's not going to hurt the cap. He's not going to hurt the cap. And then on top of that, Beasley's on an expiring contract. So it's like you don't even have to re-sign Beasley. You can just use Beasley's contribution for the last half of the season and let him go, and you release some cap as well. So to me, I think it would be a good trade.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, so Vanderbilt, he's kind of listed as a power forward, but he can guard like 1 through 4, maybe sometimes 5, because he's long. He has like a 7-foot wingspan, and he's the type of guy that Thibs would love on the team because he's going to give you effort and 100% effort every single time. You know what I mean? So I definitely understand the reason to like Vanderbilt and have him here. I have mixed feelings, man. I have mixed feelings. Like, because of Obi's upside, like, I've been wanting to move Obi for like an all-star or somebody slightly better that I know will be useful, but I'm like, I still know we need that wing though. You know what I mean? So even though he's maybe a power forward, maybe he can play wing, but really the reason why he's a power forward in the first place because of his scoring. He doesn't really give you a lot on the scoring end. So, like, with us struggling in the second unit with scoring, how does that look for us having a guy who's not really known for his scoring even though this year he's shooting better from 33% from three. And I think he's shooting a pretty good percentage from like the corner three. But I mean, I still have my concerns a little bit. You already know how I feel about Malik Beasley as well. You know, like if we're like, why use a draft conversation on Malik Beasley if we already have a guy who can shoot threes and not play defense? Like, to me, that doesn't make sense. But I know there's a Knicks assistant who really loves him, and that's probably why he's in the conversation already. So it's I don't know, man. I don't feel like I want to give up draft compensation with Evan Fournier just to get back Malik Beasley specifically. Like, to me, in my brain, that doesn't make sense. Vanderbilt coming here, I can talk myself. I can see that making sense. Vanderbilt coming here in general because we need the wing, but giving up Obi for it is like, my gut will feel better giving up Obi for OG. But that's how I feel about it in general. What do you think, Lee?
It's an embarrassing conversation that we're even having to have this about trading Obi Toppin for two role players. There's a lot to unpack. This reeks of Gerson Rosas, who was the former GM of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who traded for both Vanderbilt and Beasley during his tenure there.
Yep.
So these are his guys. Now that he's in this senior executive role with the Knicks, and apparently was leading most of the conversations, the trade delegations for Utah Jazz, I'm assuming he's going to be in that position again to make those moves, which is like, this adds a whole nother level of like, who's in charge, who has final say, who knows. You know, it doesn't matter what regime. It's kind of the same old chaos, it seems. The players that are being mentioned, I love Vanderbilt. When we were having our chats about Donovan Mitchell early in the season and through text, he was a name that I always threw out there that I really wanted to come to the Knicks, because if Tibbs ain't going to be fired, let's give him guys that he can use to their full potential. He fits it. He can guard the 1 through 5. It's in so many teams are playing small ball fives now. He can guard all 5 positions. The perfect guy you want in switches. A great zone defender, a great one-on-one defender, great on-ball defender, great off-ball defender. He checks all the boxes and all the metrics. He's long, lengthy, can't shoot a 3. So it's kind of like, Ronnie Brewer in Chicago with Tom Thibodeau back in the day. He loves those type of guys. Yeah. But I think Vanderbilt could expand his game a little bit in our offense, since there's really no like steam. Just get open shots. There'd be a lot of transition opportunities playing with Brunson. I think he could thrive. Malik Beasley, I have very little interest in. He's a more athletic Evan Fournier. He's a really good shooter. Doesn't really give you a whole lot defensively or rebounding wise. His defensive metrics haven't always been terrible. I was going on StatMuse. He actually was pretty good when he was on a defensive team in Denver. He was at 114, 113, 111. And then once he got to Minnesota, it went up to 118, 115, 118 again. So I think under Tibbs' system, he can be a good help defender and team defender, and he'll be paired with that bench unit. So it's like McBride, Sims, probably some minutes with Grimes. He's going to be around a lot of other good defensive players, so they can hide him and play to his strengths. Giving him draft capital, it better not be anything more than a second or very, very protected first, like that Washington one or something. If we're doing up a Knicks pick, which I don't think we will, but the trade overall I like. But I would much rather fire Tom Thibodeau than to have to trade Obi Toppin. That's my first request. Why do we have to trade a lottery pick? We don't have very many. How many have we had in the history of our franchise? Why do we have to trade one in order for him to thrive? This guy's going to go to Utah and like make these like white pasty fan base cheer their asses off when he's averaging 20, 10, and 5. It's going to happen. And it's going to embarrass us to look so goofy when we have Malik Beasley averaging 8 points off the bench. It's like, oh man, it's so irritating that we're in this situation where we have to trade a super talented guy because our coach refuses to play 2 forwards at the same time. Like, it's 2023, man. Any other coach would be playing Obi Toppin more than 12 minutes. Yet, Tisby Tibbin. So, is it a bad trade? No. Is it a great trade? No. It solves some issues. It's overall mid. I've resigned myself knowing Obi is gone. There's no way he's on the team next year. So might as well do some guys that fit Tom Thibodeau's system, give us some extra wins in the win column because we can lock down on defense, impress the bench. And there you have it. I wish Obi all the luck.
Yeah, Obi deserves to go somewhere he's going to play. I agree. I don't trading Obi to Utah just makes me sick in my stomach in general.
Me too, man.
Considering what happened this summer, like I don't even just my discourse with Utah fans. Like I don't even want them to enjoy Obi Toppin just because of this disgusting discourse I was having Utah fans. I'm like, yo, yeah, y'all would love Obi Toppin if he was traded, and it was like, oh, he's trash, and I'm just like, oh, y'all don't deserve the 20, and I feel like he's gonna be like a 28-4 guy, but y'all don't deserve him, man.
No, I'm just saying I honestly think Obi would thrive in Utah as well.
I think so, for sure.
Office that they run in Utah, he would thrive there.
He definitely would. But like we're not going to pay. I don't see us paying him in this summer. So like I feel like we going to have to move him either at the trade deadline or during the draft or something. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't see the Knicks paying him. I just don't. And I don't know. When to speak on Vanderbilt a little bit more, he's been in the league 7 years, but he's still very young. He's like 23, I think, right now.
Younger than Obi.
Yeah, he's very young. So like that rawness. Like he's starting to put together from 3 this year. Not to say he's some knockdown shooter, but this is the first time in his career where he's showing a pulse offensively. So there is a chance he can evolve into a 3-and-D type guy, but he hasn't shown that yet. So he still needs time on the offensive side to grow. And we kind of got to remember he's 23, so he's years away from doing that. On the flip side though, like if he's here, like what type of minutes is he going to get? Is he's playing backup power forward? Is he going to get 10 minutes a game? Or do we actually see, maybe a game like today, we throw him on a Kawhi Leonard for a stretch even and see if he can guard those type of wings. Then maybe it'll work out like that under Tibbs. Who knows? But there could be something more with Jared Vanderbilt for sure, even though offensively he hasn't shown any super promise. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see. All right. And shout out to the chat. I actually added a playlist on the channel for you guys. It's called Trade Deadline Playlist, because I know we've been talking a lot about different players, players we want, and rumors and all that. So if you want to kind of just look at everybody who's been in rumors and everybody that we just came up with that we have an eye on, you can check out the 2020 the trade deadline playlist on our channel. All right, so shout out to you guys, and we'll definitely chop this segment up and add this to the bunch over there so I can talk about that. All right,
I have a question for y'all too.
Sure.
And I'll answer it myself. Right now, at this point in the season, would you trade Randall first or Obi first?